Hey, what is up, my YouTubing subscribers? Secure here to do my review on RWBY Volume 5, Chapter 5, Unnecessary Sacrifice. And if you couldn't tell by my tone of voice, I didn't like this chapter. Now, if you don't know, I do spoil the chapter, so leave if you haven't watched it. That being said, let's get on with the show. Oh my god. Blake. Blake. This is as much as last chapter was a Yang chapter. Well, this chapter is a Blake chapter. Big issue. Blake's storyline is trash. Blake's storyline is the weakest out of the four characters. Blake's storyline is the worst. Why? Because she's pretty much Blake. Blake is those millionaire BLM guys saying that they're freaking oppressed. That's what she is. She's a Black Lives Matter supporter who is a millionaire and is saying she's oppressed. We haven't seen much of Menagerie. She says that Menagerie is shit, but from what we've seen, it's a tropic environment. It has palm trees, it has fruit, it has easy farmland. We haven't seen the negatives of Menagerie, and it's just her story is so freaking weak. I'm gonna be hated. I don't care. Amino, come at me. Come at me, Amino. YouTube comments, come at me. I don't care. If you like Blake, that's fine, but her storyline isn't that good. Anyways, let's get on with the review. Blake says everything she said about Adam in volume 3. She tells Ilya's backstory again. We cut away to RWBY. RWBY and Oscar's training. RWBY cuts in. Oscar has a meltdown and is getting mad. He's like, how the hell do you do this? How the hell, like, aren't you scared? How are you still so positive? And then it's time to give the most humanizing moment ever to RWBY. And I love it. Had it been just this, I would have been fine with 3 minutes of RWBY and them saying that's our chapter. Because this was the most humanizing moment for RWBY ever. We see that everything that's happened. We've seen that the people trying to kill her. We've seen that the fact that she's in a war now. Penny, Pyrrha, their deaths, everything has been just weighing on her continuously. But she has to keep going forward. And she says it. She's like, I have to keep fighting because that's what my friends would do. I have to keep moving on because that's what Penny would do. That's what Pyrrha would do. And it's amazing. I love it. When she's almost crying. You see how weak she says she's weak. She's not. And it's just so good. It's good because we finally get that RWBY didn't come out of the fall of Beacon unscathed. That she was hurt, that she's still hurting, that but she just wants to keep moving forward, that she needs to keep helping the people because that's what she's been training to do. As she leaves, Oscar and Oscar have a small discussion. Basically, it looks like Oscar has a little bit of a crush on RWBY. He's like, she's amazing. And Oscar's like, yeah, that she is. She's great in so many ways, and she has a way of inspiring people that few people do. Oscar's like, well, she must have been one of the best huntresses in Beacon. Osmond's like, yeah, in some ways, but in a lot of ways she was one of the weakest. We then cut back to Menagerie, where Finnick and his partner basically tell Ilya that she has to capture Blake. That while they're capturing Blake, the White Fang are gonna kill Gira and Kali. For the people who know what Gira's inspiration is, it's fine because we kind of knew he was gonna die. That being said, this is okay. It's just Blake's storyline poisons the episode. Had it been RWBY, which by the way I felt like last volume, RWBY's Team Ranger poisoned the episode a lot of the time. I felt like last volume we didn't need much of Ranger. Ranger was walking literally most of the time. Ranger spent 90% of their storyline going from place to place. So we didn't need that. We needed 30 seconds to tell us where they're at on their travels, and that's it. Instead, what we get, instead what we got was minutes on minutes of just nothing. This volume, it looks like Blake is getting the shit end of the stick this time. Blake, basically, my biggest issue is that Blake's storyline, Blake's whole, everything Blake says in this chapter, she said in other dialogue. Ilya's backstory has been stated 3 times now since she was introduced. Blake's character short, unnecessary or not unnecessary, unforeseen complications, and now in a necessary sacrifice. 3 times. We get it. We get why Ilya does what she does. Her family was killed. She lived in a dust mine accident. She lived the life of she lived the worst. She's seen the worst of humanity. She was living in Atlas with a bunch of posh wannabe aristocrat Atlas brats. So we get it. But then she says pretty much everything she said to Yang about Adam. She says to Sun about Adam. He started as a paragon. He started as her inspiration. Then he started killing. Then he started murdering. Then he started becoming a monster. And as he became a monster, she grew further and further apart from him. It's irritating because Blake's story deserves better. Everything positive I said about Yang's storyline is everything negative in this chapter. The voice acting was weak. The writing was weak. The character dynamic was weak. It didn't advance the plot at all. And I know I'm gonna be hated. Come at me, Amino. Come at me, comment section. But it's weak. It's garbage. It's trash. And Blake deserves better. Anyways, I'm sorry if you enjoyed the chapter. That's good for you. I think it's the weakest chapter since Monty Ohm died. I think it's the least developed chapter. Sekirj, signing off.